On March 31, 1973, at the Sports Arena in San Diego, a heavy overhand right from Ken Norton shattered Muhammad Ali's jaw in the second round. Ali fought 10 more rounds with bone shards piercing his gums, but the split decision loss signaled more than just a physical injury. The Louisville Lip was silenced by the realization that his 31-year-old legs could no longer sustain 15 rounds of lateral movement. Critics like Howard Cosell began drafting the obituary of his career, claiming his speed had evaporated. He was no longer the elusive ghost who bypassed Sonny Liston. He was a stationary target. This defeat forced Ali into a period of deep tactical isolation, as he realized the heavyweight division had transitioned into an era of raw, prehistoric power that his traditional style could no longer outrun. By early 1974, the shadow over Ali's future grew larger in the form of George Foreman. In Kingston, Jamaica, Foreman had lifted Joe Frazier off his feet with a single uppercut, knocking him down 6 times in under 6 minutes. Months later in Caracas, he dismantled Ken Norton in just 2 rounds.
That fight ended up 1 hour. Man, I lost 15 pounds in that fight. How you do it? I just didn't quit. I prayed and then quit. And George Foreman was a harder puncher than Mike. Well, I wouldn't say he's the hardest puncher than Mike Tyson, but he hit me one time and my feet froze up.
He saw Frazier, a master of relentless pressure, reduced to a helpless child. He saw Norton, the technical spoiler who had broken Ali's own jaw, folded like a lawn chair. Ali's original plan of dancing for 15 rounds began to look like a suicide mission. The tapes revealed a champion who didn't just punch, he destroyed the very will of his opponents.
Up next, Boone Kirkman. By that time, we may really see a fight.
The fight's now. These guys are fighting, George, until they get hit.
Foreman laying back and evidently tired.
They're on the ropes.
Ali's first revised strategy involved a high-volume jab and constant movement to his left, specifically designed to stay away from Foreman's devastating left hook. However, as he meticulously analyzed the tape of Foreman versus Norton, he noticed a terrifying detail. George didn't just follow his opponents, he stepped across their path using his massive 82-inch reach to herd them into the corners.
Foreman twice coming up and under with the left hand. And remember, when you're watching George Foreman, you want him to knock opponents out with glancing blows. His hands are so heavy that what becomes a doesn't always look like one.
Ali realized that if he tried to dance on the soft, humid ring floor in Kinshasa, his calves would likely cramp by the 4th round. He tore up his first set of tactical notes. He needed a way to neutralize the shove, Foreman's habit of using his palms to push opponents back to create the perfect distance for a knockout blow. The second major revision happened at Ali's training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. He initially tried to incorporate heavy clinching and the anchor punch, inspired by how Foreman briefly struggled when Joe Roman tried to crowd him in Tokyo. But watching the Frazier tape again, Ali saw that George thrived on the inside, using his shovel hooks to break ribs and lift men off the ground. Ali's trainer, Angelo Dundee, watched as Ali abruptly stopped a sparring session in August 1974. Ali realized he couldn't outmuscle George, and he couldn't outdance him in the Zaire heat. He began experimenting with a counterintuitive posture, leaning his upper body far beyond the line of his heels while resting his weight against the ropes, a move everyone in his camp considered tactical insanity. In the humid summer of 1974 at Deer Lake, Ali began a specialized and grueling form of physical conditioning that horrified his longtime doctor, Ferdy Pacheco.
The sparring partner here, I believe, is Eddie Bossman Jones. Jones was a light heavyweight contender who was a warrior and take on the top names in their hometowns or countries. He did get a title shot on Don in 1971.
Ali stopped focusing on the speed bag and instead spent hours leaning against the loose ropes of his custom-built ring, tasking sparring partners like a young, hungry Larry Holmes and the heavy-hitting Eddie Animal Lopez to land full-force shots to his midsection. He wasn't practicing his offense. He was recalibrating his nervous system to accept the sensation of being trapped. He realized that Foreman's power wasn't just in the impact, but in the intimidation of the thud.
In the second round.
Good right hand on the left-hand side of the face of Norton. As Foreman is teeing off, and it looks like Norton has really been staggered as he went up against the rope. The referee is giving...
Ali calculated that if he could absorb 200 of these blows in a controlled environment, the 50 or 60 he expected to take in Kinshasa wouldn't trigger the instinctual panic that led Frazier and Norton to cover up and crumble. While Ali's body was hardening, his tactical mind was focused on a specific flaw he'd spotted in Foreman's 1973 knockout of Jose King Roman in Tokyo. Foreman used a cross-arm defense, a shell where his forearms shielded his chin. But Ali noticed that when George threw his devastating lead left hook, his right hand often dropped 6 inches, leaving a momentary window near his temple.
Big George knew a hurt fighter when he saw one, and landed a thudding 1-2 combination, forcing Holyfield to clinch. Foreman would allow Holyfield to clinch for the remainder of the round, although he did land a final parting shot just at the bell. Last several rounds had given Holyfield an obvious lead in points, and it was clear to all watching that Foreman needed a knockout to win.
To exploit this, Ali began refining a vertical lead right hand, a punch thrown without a setup jab. In his private cabin, Ali drew diagrams of the center line theory. He told Angelo Dundee he would stop trying to circle Foreman.
Dundee had privately dreaded. Frazier's relentless forward movement overwhelmed Ali's lateral mobility across 15 and that left hook in the 15th round deposited Ali onto the canvas in front of the entire watching world.
Instead, he would stand directly in the kill zone, but use a subtle, backward lean, a pull-away defense, to make Foreman's punches miss by fractions of an inch, forcing George to overextend and burn oxygen in the 90-degree African heat. On September 16, 1974, the entire strategy was thrown into chaos. During a routine sparring session in Kinshasa, George Foreman was caught by an accidental elbow from sparring partner Bill McMurray. The resulting cut above George's right eye required 11 stitches and forced a 5-week postponement. While Foreman retreated into a guarded, sullen seclusion at the Intercontinental Hotel, Ali turned the delay into a psychological siege. He moved his base to the Enseal compound and began a ritual of 4 a.m. runs through the streets, flanked by hundreds of Zairian citizens. He wasn't just running for cardio, he was building a human shield. He learned the Lingala chant, Ali Bomai, Ali, kill him, and repeated it until it became the ambient noise of the city, ensuring that whenever Foreman finally stepped outside, he would feel like an invader in a land that had already chosen its king. During the 5-week delay, Ali obsessed over the heavy ring floor at the Stade du 20 Mai. The tropical climate made the canvas soft, and the padding underneath felt like wet sand, a nightmare for a mobile fighter. Ali's third and final tactical adjustment was finalized here. He would abandon the Ali shuffle entirely. He realized that dancing on this surface would lead to lactic acid buildup in his calves by the 3rd round. Instead, he worked with his cut man, Angelo Dundee, to secretly loosen the ring ropes on the night of the fight. The plan was to create a sling effect. By leaning back into the slack ropes, Ali could move his head outside the vertical plane of the ring, effectively placing his chin 3 inches further away from Foreman's reach than George would perceive, all while resting his legs. On the night of October 30th, 1974 at 4 a.m., the temperature inside the stadium was still a stifling 80 degrees, with nearly 90% humidity. In the locker room, Ali's assistant trainer, Drew Bundini Brown, was in a state of near collapse from nerves, but Ali was eerily silent, staring at his wrapped hands. He had analyzed the tapes of Foreman's wins over Ken Norton and Joe Frazier one last time that afternoon. He noticed that both men tried to move away from George's power, which only gave George the space to generate maximum torque. Ali's final instruction to himself was a complete reversal of boxing logic. Go to him. He decided that in the very first round, he would strike Foreman with the hardest lead rights of his life, not to knock him out, but to shatter George's confidence in his own invincibility before retreating to the ropes for the long siege. As the bell rang for round 1, the world expected Ali to run. Instead, he sprinted to the center of the ring and landed a sharp, straight right-hand flush on Foreman's jaw within the first 10 seconds.
Was the starting point of Dundee's concern. Robinson threw punches in sequences that disrupted an opponent's defensive rhythm before they registered the attack had already begun. Boxing historians confirm Robinson's offensive construction was a step ahead of contemporary understanding, built around principles of time.
This wasn't a dancing alley. This was a flat-footed
The pressure was the foundation of everything. Marciano walked through punishment absorbing clean shots and continuing forward with a mechanical, almost inhuman persistence that logically before their bodies ever surrendered. Industry insiders reveal Dundee.
Instead, he leaned his torso back against
the monster, forcing Ali to take a rematch. Foreman ended most of the fights via knockout. What counted on was that the public had not lost respect for him as he thought they had. Rather than see this warrior fighting against impossible odds, which anyone who has even lightly sparred fresh opponents one after the other knows he was, instead rooted for Foreman's challengers.
Every time George swung a haymaker, Ali's body...
George Foreman is hit by a combination of punches, and down he goes. George, he's fallen like a tree in the forest. He is felled by the combination of blows.
Foreman's punches began to lose their snap, becoming heavy.
Banging on in the second round. Norton goes down again. A left hand on the side of the head. Norton goes back down. No, he doesn't. His legs are rubbery as the left hand goes to the side of his head. A right uppercut, a left jab, and all this crumbling to the
He is game.
They told me you could hit like a heavyweight.
You got to go to work.
This was the turning point. The crowd, sensing the
sense of purpose for the young man, under Doc's guidance, George starts training, showing promise with every punch. It's here that we witness George's initial transformation from a disciplined athlete. The movie does a fantastic job highlighting.
Round 8 arrived with the scent of an upset in the air.
Kitten. Holyfield looks a little stunned, a little weary. He came back with his own left hook. Overhand, real wide, but two good body shots by Foreman. Another right from Foreman. And a combination. This is where Holy favored Foreman in this fight. Gave him a big shot. Oh, and he's got...
As Foreman began to spiral toward the canvas.
The same Henry Cooper who sent Muhammad into a heavy knockdown at Wembley decided to try to do it again, only to fight with a victory. It didn't work out. The 24-year-old Ali sent Cooper knockout in the 6th round. Although the fight was again stopped due to a cut.
For the fans in Zaire and millions watching